makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
Progressives in the House of Representatives managed to fulfill their promise of threatening to tank the infrastructure bill and force Nancy Pelosi to delay a vote. This is very good news because it shows the Progressive Caucus actually working together to achieve a major progressive goal, which is not just to pass that infrastructure bill, but actually to pass the much bigger Build Back Better budget reconciliation bill that is currently stuck in the Senate. So, for those who haven't been following the infrastructure debate, basically there's two bills. There's a bipartisan infrastructure bill that's 1.2 trillion that was passed in the Senate a couple of months ago, and House Democrats, the Progressive Caucus of the House Democrats, has threatened to not pass that bill unless a separate bill, which is known as the Build Back Better Act, which is 3.5 trillion, and that one's being held on in the Senate. By the way, massive thunderstorm going on right now. So that's a much bigger bill. It includes not just basically physical infrastructure, which is what the 1.2 trillion bill accounts for, but actually this one includes green infrastructure spending. It includes housing support, extension of childcare. So a lot of good social spending items are in this bill. And it's largely seen, both bills put together pretty much represent the entirety of the Biden administration's economic agenda. So the threat is that people like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema don't want to pass that 3.5 trillion plan. And they've gone out of their way. They have met with lobbyists. They have every single corporate interest behind them, and they're basically saying we're not going to pass that bill. So progressives have responded by saying, okay, well, if you don't pass that bill, we won't pass the infrastructure bill. We're not giving you anything. We're not giving you, even the breadcrumbs if you don't give the bread. So I think this is a very smart tactic because, frankly, a country like the US has very bad infrastructure by first world standards. I remember the last time I went to New York and went to JFK Airport, I was just shocked at how bad it was. Compared to Heathrow in Britain. It's really, it's way behind what it should be. So, physical infrastructure is useful, it's good, but if this doesn't come with anything else, if it doesn't come with funding for green investments and things like that, then there's no point. Really, there's no point. I mean, the US can live with awful infrastructure somehow. So it's not an essential bill. So it's good that they've threatened to do this. The condition being, unless the Senate bill is voted on, we will not pass the infrastructure bill. And a lot of people on the dumb left have basically were basically saying that this was all fluff, that they weren't going to pull it off, and they did, which is a good thing. So Nancy Pelosi has... So the bill wasn't voted on because obviously it would be embarrassing if it didn't pass. So Pelosi has delayed it to a future date while President Biden and other key Democratic leaders continue lobbying with the holdouts. And I'm genuinely curious now who they're going to basically try and convince. Whether they're going to try and convince the progressives to vote for the bill anyway, or they're going to lobby the so-called moderates. And I hate calling them moderates. I think we should be very careful with our language. These aren't moderate Democrats. These are right-wing Democrats. People like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin vote closer to Republicans than almost anyone else. Especially Joe Manchin, who is basically a Republican. in every sense of the word. Why people like him are allowed in the Democratic Party is honestly beyond me. I know a lot of people sort of support him because, oh, if it wasn't for Manchin, we wouldn't have a Senate majority. For all intents and purposes, you don't have it. Because if he's going to be blocking the major item of Joe Biden's agenda, if he's going to be the one blocking it, what's the point? You might as well have had 49. So I don't see what his use is to the Democratic Party, and I don't see why the Democratic leadership doesn't make it like a 24/7 effort to do everything they can to convince him, not with carrots, because the carrots won't work. He already gets so much money from lobbyists, as does Sinema. The carrot won't work. Use the stick. Threaten to primary their ass. Threaten to basically sink their political careers. Or why on earth can't they be kicked out of the party? I don't understand why they can't. But anyway, so this is good news. And I bet you that Jimmy Dore is not going to cover this because, oh my God, God forbid that it shows progressives actually did something, good. Maybe he will cover it. But he'll find an angle to still continue blasting AOC and the squad. But anyway, let's look. So Manchin. So I think personally, Kristen Sinema is probably insane. Like I don't think she's right in the head. Her mannerisms, her behavior is just very, very. They're very odd. I have never seen a politician who acts the way that Sinema does. She is incredibly awkward. She is incredibly unlikable as well, despite the fact that she wears like very brightly colored outfits and seems to have, I don't know, there's something about her. And I think she comes across as being someone who is supremely odious, even to her own Democratic colleagues. So I don't see much of a political future for her. She seems to be just, a one-hit wonder, and once her term ends, I don't see her winning. I read that the Arizona Democrats are calling for a vote of censure or something of the sort against her. So she's clearly not much loved in her home state. As for Manchin, well, he has experience. He's in a relatively conservative state. I don't think he can still pull off re-election somehow, unless the party apparatus does everything in their power to primary him, which I repeat, I think they should. And the only reason that he's not a Republican is because he's still more of an old school type conservative. He hasn't jumped on the Trump crazy train. And I think if he were to switch parties to the Republican Party, where he honestly belongs more in terms of economic policy making, he would be in a situation where more would be expected of him in terms of the crazy train, not be the sort of fiscally responsible. He's not fiscally responsible. I'm just saying they like to present themselves as fiscally responsible, but they're going to want him to be, speak 24/7 against vaccine mandates and CRT and all these things that the Trump crowd only cares about. But here's some videos of Joe Manchin. This was yesterday before the vote, earlier that day. And he basically finally pulls the mask off and reveals the reptile inside. So let's listen to him.
I've never been a liberal in any way, shape, or the form. There's no one who's ever thought I was. I've been governor, I've been state secretary of state, I've been state legislature, I've been a U.S. senator, and I have voted pretty consistently all my whole life. I don't fault any of them who believe that they're much more progressive and much more liberal. God bless them. And all they need to do is we have to elect more, I guess, for them to get theirs, elect more liberals. I've never...
So this is an incredibly crazy framing, because he's not even complaining about well, he is, but the first thing that he says is like, I've never been a liberal. Then what the hell are you doing in the liberal centrist party? Because that's what pretty much the Democratic Party is. Yes, it has a progressive wing, but for the most part, the Democratic Party is a liberal centrist party. Or dare I say a liberal center-right party. That's more accurate to what it really is. So what is he doing in a party that fundamentally does not share his values? If he says that he's not a liberal, the only other option that he has, because clearly he's not a progressive, the only other political option that he has is that he's a conservative. So why is he not in the conservative party, which is the Republican Party? I don't get it. I seriously don't get it. And yeah, the reasons why he gives these excuses are on why he wants to tank the bill. He wants basically just 1.5 trillion because he doesn't want an entitlement mentality.
Did you share that number with the president, and has that 1.5
The last week or so.
Have you shared it with Senator Sinema? And did that number go up?
Senator Sinema knows that.
Has your top line raised since
my
then?
top line has not been. My top line has been 1.5 because I believe in my heart that what we can do and what the needs we have right now and what we can afford to do without basically changing our whole society to an entitlement mentality.
Did you share?
What the fuck? What, like, this is a right-wing talking point. This is a Republican talking point. It shouldn't be a Democratic talking point. An entitlement mentality. He's on fucking West Virginia, which is one of the poorest states in the countries. Thus, one of the countries that receives some of the biggest federal spending per head in federal support. So the whole state runs on an entitlement mentality by his own admission. This is just insane. And also, why does he not listen to his constituents? Or why doesn't he listen to the American constituency as a whole? The Biden plan, which includes both the infrastructure and the Senate reconciliation bill, they're extremely popular. They have, what is it, like over 70% or close to 70% support across the board. That's amazing. For most of the polls that I've seen, even a large number of Republicans support it. Maybe not half, but close to half. Like 40% of Republicans support this bill. And, Democrats overwhelmingly support it. So why is he not listening to those people? Why is he only listening to his lobbyists? So earlier, he also wrote a statement on why he's not voting for the bill. And it's just full of right-wing talking points. Like, this guy could basically be Paul Ryan. I can't support 3.5 trillion more in spending when we have already spent 5.4 trillion since last March. At some point, all of us, regardless of party, must ask a simple question: how much is enough? Well, I don't know. How much is the... these bills are 10-year bills. And when they say the number 3.5 trillion, you should take into account that this is a 10-year period. It's not 3.5 in one sitting. So why aren't other items of spending framed in that same narrative? Why isn't the Pentagon's budget framed on a 10-year perspective? Because then it would be... how big is the defense bill in the U.S.? How much is defense spending? It's like 750 billion. So that would be 7.5, almost 8 trillion. Why don't we frame defense spending as that? 8 billion. No, not for that. Only things that actually help people are framed that way. Then he goes on giving the... So this is incredible. What I made clear to the president and Democratic leaders is that spending trillions more on new and expanded government programs, when we can't even pay for the essential social programs like Social Security and Medicare, is a definition of fiscal insanity. Why isn't he not supporting Medicare for all then? Why is he not supporting the tax aspects of the bill so that this can all be funded? Because that's part of the reconciliation bill. Certain higher taxes to pay for the whole thing. So This is crazy. Suggesting that spending trillions more will not have an impact on inflation ignores the everyday reality that America's families continue to pay an unavoidable inflation tax. Who says inflation tax? This is basically like Reaganomics. This is Laffer curve bullshit, like supply side bullshit. This is insane. Yeah, this is the shared reality we all now face. No, that's not your shared reality, Joe. That's your constituents' reality, because you have a freaking yacht. Okay? You're loaded. You're sorted for life. Your constituents aren't. Yeah. Our tax code should be reformed to fix the flaws of the 2017 tax bill and ensure everyone pays their fair share, but it should not weaken our global competitiveness or the ability of millions of small businesses to compete with the Amazons of the world. Let me tell you something, Joe Manchin. As it is now, millions of small businesses are unable to compete with Amazon. That will not change unless you actually tax the big companies. And you tax the rich. But you don't want that. You don't want that. So, yeah, the amount we spend now must be balanced with what we need and can afford, designed to re-engineer the social and economic fabric of this nation, or vengefully tax for the sake of wishful spending. Did I say at the beginning of this video that there's a thunderstorm outside? But yeah, if you hear thunder, that's why. Yeah. Throughout September, I've made it clear to all those who would listen the needs to means test any new social program so that we are helping those who need it the most, not spend for the sake of spending. Dude, again, this is like peak Washington consensus economics. This could be an IMF statement to any poor country that needed a structural adjustment program in the late 80s or early 90s. This is exactly the same language. And trust me, as an economist, I know that language. Yeah. I will not support trillions in spending or an all or nothing approach that engrossed the brutal fiscal reality. Brutal? What brutal fiscal reality? You're in a country that basically can print its own currency. That happens to be the currency in which most of its debt is denominated. So I don't see what this brutal fiscal reality is. How can this manifest? This is ridiculous. If there is one final lesson that will continue to guide me in this difficult debate ahead, it is this. America is a great nation, but great nations throughout history have been weakened by careless spending and bad policies. I remember the time that the Roman Empire, remember how it fell? It fell because it couldn't pass its green infrastructure bill. That's why it collapsed. What a shame. It could not extend childcare benefits or provide housing support. That's why it declined. Anyway, today there was, I can't get enough of Manchin. He's just, I don't know. Today he was on his yacht in DC, moored in DC. And apparently they have some West Virginians protesting outside his yacht on kayaks. And this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. How on earth can this guy be a member of the Democratic Party, or a party that supposedly stands for the people? We know they don't, but at least the others try a bit harder. But not Joe.
Let me talk if you can. Where are y'all from? Anybody from West Virginia? We have any West Virginians?
We have a lot of West Virginians.
God bless you all. But gang, we're working hard. We really are. We're going to continue to in good faith. We want to get a good bill that's a balanced bill, that's well done. And I know it won't be enough for some, and it'll be too much for others. In West Virginia, West Virginia's a little bit different than it used to be.
There's a lot of poverty. What are you going to do for the poor in West Virginia?
We're going to be working everything we can to create good opportunities.
And we need to tax the rich.
Well, I agree with that. I definitely agree. That's the
No, we
one other
don't.
thing we should be doing is fixing the tax code so everybody pays their fair share. We should be also negotiating for lower drug prices. We should be doing all these things.
By the way, the other moderate Democrats killed an item on the budget reconciliation bill to have Medicare negotiate as a bloc drug prices. And these were the same, quote, moderate Democrats who give the same arguments of fiscal responsibility. I mean, this would be cheaper for the state to purchase drugs at lower prices. But as it turns out, and there was an article, I think it was The Intercept, revealed they were all massive recipients of pharma industry lobbying money. So that's how US politics works. You should all know that.
I agree with you 1,000%. We're all on the same page, gang. We really are.
No, you're not. You're in a fucking yacht.
Well, if we have here, let me just explain on that one. We will get to that eventually, but right now we can't even take care of it. It's going to go broke in 2026. Let us fix and repair that first.
That's not true. Tax the rich.
We're taxing the.
Oh boy. And I don't know why it's not playing, but yeah, you get the picture. That is crazy. That is crazy. Oh, there they are.
In Afghanistan, we have. In Afghanistan,
I don't know if you remember me or not.
Okay, it seems my internet is acting up for reasons unknown. Let's reload, see if it works.
In Afghanistan, we have. In Afghanistan,
I don't know
we
if you
have.
remember me or not, but I was in your office a few weeks ago. My name's Angie Kearns, and I live in Charleston. And my husband's company
Ugh.
employs 400 people. Over half of them are on state assistance right now because of the rates that Medicaid and waiver programs pay to caregivers. They cannot afford to pay a living wage. If you pass this bill, Senator, just by investing in the healthcare portion of this, not only would it remove over 200 people from the system, meaning medical card, food stamps, and other things, but then also would put them in a tax-paying bracket on private health insurance and allow them to hire more caregivers to take care of our aging population, which saves the state money twofold for one investment.
She's done her research.
Senator, this is an investment. This is not giving out money. This is not spending. This is investing, and this is building the state that we both love. That's why we're both here fighting for our people, because we love West Virginia and we believe in our state. We need you to stand with us.
I think yeah, it's hard to figure out what he's saying, but there you go. Guy on a yacht, millionaire guy on a yacht, representing families who have been absolutely screwed over by the system, and he gives them nothing in return. That is Joe Manchin. This is the man that somehow Biden just hasn't been able to rein in. And I don't understand how. I really don't understand how. And, well, what is the future of this whole bill? I don't know. I mean, if they don't, I truly hope the progressives continue holding out the way they have done to this moment. I hope they don't cave in. And ultimately, it's going to be people like Manchin who are gonna sink it. They're the ones who are actually responsible if this bill does not pass. It's not the progressives. And I know a lot of the centrist media, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, they're all gonna frame this in some way as the progressives being the ones who tanked the bill. So I hope they not only double down and insist that it doesn't pass unless the reconciliation bill is passed, and if that doesn't happen, I truly hope that they come out all guns blazing whenever they appear on a major network or on a newspaper, wherever they appear. I truly hope they come out all guns blazing and put the blame on the people who deserve the blame, which are these so-called moderates who really are corrupt as fuck right-wing Democrats. That's what they are. And it's astounding to see the degree of corruption that exists, legalized corruption that exists in a country like the US, when countries like mine always get the stigma of being, the corrupt ones. And this is insane. The amount of money that these people get while screwing over their constituents is insane. So there you go, folks. Before I finish, I have a small announcement. I am going to Nicaragua for a month and a half. Tomorrow, I'm flying out. So I might not be posting videos until Monday, until I'm kind of settled. So there will be a new background, a new scenery, hopefully palm trees. And I'm going to continue doing this while I'm there. So don't worry about that. Maybe I'll do another video today and leave it to upload something tomorrow, but maybe I won't. But yeah, if not, I'll see you all on Monday. And if you like this video, please like, please share, and most importantly, please subscribe. And see you next time.